My name is Omar Toledo. I am a Java instructor, and in this video, I want to show you how to track a program with methods. Okay, so let's gonna start. Okay, as you see here, you have here a program. See here, below is a working program that calculates the output. Okay, calculate an output a bank account balance when a person either makes a deposit or withdrawal to the account. Okay, so when you will have to track a program, immediately try to understand or get an idea what is going to be in this program, right? So in this case, here's a program, right, for bank balance, right? So you can make deposit or withdraw, right? And after that, you will have to update the balance, right? Correct? Deposit, update the balance, right? You add money to your balance. Withdraw, you subtract money, correct? And you're gonna get a new balance, correct? Okay, now let's gonna see the program. Here you are import the scanner. Okay, it means that you're gonna receive data from the user, right? Then this is the name of the program. The class name is bank balance. And there you have here two global identifiers. So you have here two global constant, right? See that deposit is going to have the value of 1, and withdrawal is going to have the value of 2. Okay, good. This means that inside your method, you're going to be able, inside the main method or another method, you're going to be able to read the variable constant deposits and withdrawal, right? And what is the value for deposit? 1. And what is the value for withdrawal? 2. Okay, good. So let's gonna see. Here you see the main method. Open curly braces, and let's gonna see if we can identify where is the end of the main method. Here. This is the end of the main method. Okay? Okay, so let's gonna see what is inside the main method. Inside the main method, you have one local variable, dval, okay, initialized to 0, the amount initialized to 0, and transaction initialized to 0. Then you create the scanner, right, in your main method. And then here you display the message. Please enter the starting balance. So the user is gonna type the balance, and you're gonna store the balance in the variable dval. Okay, what's next? Enter transaction type. Remember, deposit or withdraw, right? So in transaction is gonna receive the deposit or the withdrawal, right? Maybe 1 or maybe 2. We're gonna continue analyzing that. Please enter the transaction amount, the amount for this transaction. So the user is gonna type the amount, and you're gonna store the amount in the variable the amount. Okay, so as you see, the main method is gonna collect what? Starting balance, transaction type, and transaction amount. Okay, the input is gonna be starting balance, transaction type, and transaction amount. Okay, after collecting the data in the main method, what is gonna happen? Let's gonna see. Here you have the balance, the transaction type, and the transaction amount. And what is calculate balance? Okay, it's a method, right? Okay, so you want to call the method calculate balance, okay, passing the val and transaction and the amount, all the data that you are receiving from the user, correct? And then the method calculate balance is gonna calculate the balance based on the balance, the initial balance, the transaction time, withdraw or deposit, and the amount for the transaction. For example, the initial balance, 500. Transaction type, 2. What is 2? withdrawal. Perfect. The amount, 400. Your initial balance is 500. Transaction time 2, withdrawal. Amount, transaction 400. So after that, you're gonna get a balance of 100. So if the balance 500 is greater than 0, so 500 in this example could be any balance, right? Yes, I'm giving you an example. 500, right? 500 is greater than or equal to 0? Yes. So the current balance, correct, is the balance. Remember, after calling the method calculate balance, passing the initial balance, transaction type, and the transaction amount, you're going to have in this variable the result of the transaction, right? The result of that new balance, right? So then you're going to check that. If the D balance is greater than 0, you're going to display the current balance is the balance. Otherwise, so if balance is negative, you're going to display insufficient funds balance. And you're going to display the D-value that is here. We don't know how the method calculate balance works yet. The only thing that we're doing here is analyzing step by step, line by line, the code that is in this program. And that's it. This is the end of the main method. So we'll recap. The main method is gonna collect the starting balance, transaction type, transaction amount. After collecting the data, the main method is gonna call the calculate balance method, passing the data that it's received, and it's gonna store the result in the variable dval. And then based on the dval value, you're gonna display the balance, you're gonna display insufficient funds, and the balance. Okay, this is the main method. Now let's go and analyze the calculate balance method. It's here. Okay. This is the method. Okay. What's happening here? Yes. This method receives 1, 2, 3 values, right? It has 3 arguments, 3 formal parameters, right? Perfect. So whatever you send in dval, you are going to receive here in the variable dbalance. Whatever you pass in transaction, you're going to receive that in time type. Whatever you have in the amount, you're going to receive that in the trans when you call the method calculate balance. Right? So you're going to pass the data. Correct? Okay. Now, what happens inside this method? You create a new variable, the new balance. Okay. Initialize to 0, and then see the code. You're going to validate in type. Remember in transaction here? Remember, it could be 1 or 2, right? 1, deposit, 2, withdraw, right? Okay. So in end transaction, you can have here 1 or 2, correct? If you have 1, it means that the user wanna make a deposit. If you have 2, if the user wanna make a withdraw, right? Perfect. Okay. So now you receive the balance, the initial balance, you receive 1 or 2 here, and you receive the transaction amount here, the trans. Okay. If n type here is equal to, remember, withdraw is 2, right? If whatever you receive here is 2, what happened? The balance, remember, the user received the starting balance, is going to be the balance minus, we're going to subtract the trans, the transaction amount. So you're going to have the new balance here in the variable the balance. Else if n time is equal 1, remember deposit constant is equal 1, if any type, whatever you receive here, it's in this case 1, you're gonna add the transaction amount here to the balance. Okay, and then end of the if else, we're gonna continue with our program, and then what happened in this method? We reset the variable in type to 0, we reset the variable dtrans to 0, and return deval. So if this is a withdrawal, correct? We're gonna subtract. If this is a deposit, we're gonna add to the balance. But we're gonna return the balance to the main method. Okay? This is the reason why in the main method, here, correct? You receive in the variable deval the result of this transaction. So let me write something here. Right? So suppose that the user pass initial balance 400. Transaction type 2. The amount what you're gonna do, you're gonna pass what happened, you're gonna call calculate balance here, you're gonna pass 400 divide, you're gonna pass the number 2 is 2 fix it. We need to write. This 2 is much better. Transaction type 2 here. Correct. Transaction amount. Right. So here, assuming that you receive here 400, here 2, and then 200, what is the value of the balance? Remember, we have here 400, right? We have here 2, and we have here. Right? So now, here, 400. Minus 200. And why we're doing this operation? Because what is in type 2? 2 is equal to, remember the constant? Yes, so we want to look. So the D balance is going to be 200. Right. We want to return here 200. Right. Where? Here. So all of the now going to be 200 is going to be in deval. So deval 200 is greater than 0? Yes. Current balance is 200. This is how you have to try the problem. Okay. So now let's gonna see what they ask. We understand the main method, we understand the method calculate balance. So please indicate the final value stored in each variable after the program executes if the user enters the following information. If the user enters 300, transaction type 2, 100. Okay, now that you understand the program, You know how the program works. Just think in real life. Starting balance 300. What's mean transaction type 2? Deposit or withdraw, depending of the constant. Remember? Withdraw, right? You are not sure. See that? 2 is withdraw. Perfect. Okay, so it means that you are gonna perform a withdrawal. And what is the transaction amount? 100. So what is gonna be the balance? 200, right? Correct. Okay, let's gonna see what's happening in the program. Okay. They told us again, starting balance 300, 2, and 100. Okay, transaction amount. Let's gonna run this program and use this input. Okay, let's gonna use this input. Enter the starting balance. Which value we're gonna receive? Remember? 300, right? Okay. Enter the transaction type. What was the transaction type? 2, right? See that? Transaction type 2. Perfect. 2. Remember what's mean 2? Withdraw. Perfect. Enter the transaction amount. What is the transaction amount? 100. This is the data the user is going to provide when we run the program. Okay, transaction amount 100. Correct? Okay, 300 deval 300 and transaction to the amount 100. Okay. Now, we're going to do the same thing that we did before. Okay. Which value do we have in the initial balance? Remember? Remember? See that? 300. Correct? Okay. So you have here 300. What kind of transaction was that? Remember 2, right? Withdraw. And what is the initial amount? Remember 100, right? 100. Remember, this is the data that the user entered. Okay. We call the method calculate balance. Calculate balance here. And we're going to pass 300 to the variable the balance. We're going to pass in transaction to the variable and you're going to pass 100 to the variable and transaction. The transfer. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now let's go and execute the method calculate balance. You receive 300, 2, and 100. Perfect. N type. What is the value of N type? Remember? 2. 2 is equal to, remember, withdrawal is 2, right? True. Perfect. So what is the value of the balance? The balance receives which value? 300. So here, 300. 300. You have to subtract the trans. Which value do you have in the trans? 100. So subtract 100. Right? So 300 minus 100. What is the new balance? The balance now is going to be 200. Right? Correct. And then skip the else if, skip that. And then we reset N type. N type is 0. Remember at the beginning, N type was 2, right? But now we reset to 0. D trans at the beginning was 100, but now we reset to 0.0. And then return the balance. What do we have in the balance? 200. So we return 200 to the main method. Right? Here, 100 gonna be to the main method. See. Right? 200. It means that all of these is gonna be 200. Assign 200 to the variable dval. So now 200 is greater than 0? Yes. The current balance is okay, as if that's it. Okay, so what is the current value of the val? 200, correct? Perfect. What is the current value of the amount? 100. What is the current value of any transaction? 2. What is the current value of the val? What is the current value of the val? 300 or 200? Remember 200, right? Remember we update the val with 200, correct? Okay, so just writing down the values that we have in memory. What is the value of n type here? 0. Remember, we reset that. What is the value of the transaction? The trans 0.0. What is the value of the balance here? In this method, 200, right? Correct. Perfect. So now let's go and answer the question. Okay, what is the value of the val? Let's see. The val. The val is in the main method, remember? And in the val, we receive the result of the transaction, right? We receive, remember, 200. So this one is 200. What is the value of the amount? It's the amount. The amount is here. Okay. Remember, we receive 100, right? Remember? It's here. Please enter the transaction amount and you receive 100, right? In the amount. So this is the value that we have here. The amount stored 100, correct? The amount is storing 100. What is the value of n transaction? N transaction, n type, n transaction is here. What is the value? 2, right? Transaction is 2. What is the value of the balance? What is the balance? Inside the main method? No. Inside the method calculate balance? The balance, yes. Okay, remember, you received 300 here at the beginning, right? Right, remember? You received 300, right? In the balance. But what happened later? 300 minus 100, and the balance was 200, right? The current value of the balance is 200, right? After that, we didn't modify the data for the balance. The balance is 200. Perfect. What is the value of n type? N type, it's gonna see n type was 2, remember? Correct? N type 2, and then what happened? If, let's keep the else, n type equal 0, we assign a new value for n type, 0. Okay, 0. Question, what is the value of d trans? See that? Same things. D trans at the beginning was 100 here, right? Remember? 100. Correct? And then what happened? Remember? The trans, it was 100 here, perfect. But then at the end of the method, when you finish the if else, you reset that the trans equals 0.0. What is the value of the trans? Now in memory, 0.0. That's it. So this is how you have to track programs when you have methods. So you can use an Scratch paper, correct, to do these kind of things. So I hope this video helped you. Okay, remember, practice and practice. Use this program, correct, to practice. So instead of to use the starting balance 300, use 400 and run again. Or change the numbers, right? Instead of 2, 1. Instead of 100, 300. And track the program. Okay, the only way to learn programming is when you practice. Okay, so I hope this video helped you and thank you for watching my videos. Okay.